Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Northern Soul Reaper and today I'm going to be talking about Tokyo Ghoul and specifically whether I think the manga is worth picking up. So let's get right into the video. Tokyo Ghoul tells the story of Ken Kaneki, a normal human being who is thrust into the world of the ghouls. Now, ghouls in Tokyo Ghoul aren't depicted like what they are in films and TV as horrific monsters. They look like humans, act like humans, even try to blend into society like humans. The main defining trait that they show is that instead of eating food like we do in order to survive, they sustain themselves on human flesh, meaning that they have to kill people in order to survive. In addition to that, they have increased strength and healing abilities, and they are able to use something called a kagane, which is an appendage or a limb or armor that manifests itself and comes out like an extra limb and is used in fighting and hunting. And when they are fighting and hunting or eating, their eyes, the whites of their eyes turn black and the irises turn red. Now, the humans obviously aren't too pleased or aren't too happy about just letting ghouls run around hunting and killing them, so they have set up the CCG, the Commission of Counter Ghouls. This is an organisation that is made up of investigators who patrol the different wards of Tokyo, and they have special abilities, or special weapons rather, called quinkes. These are the kagane of defeated ghouls that have been harvested, and they are used in order to give the investigators an edge, in order to even the playing field a little bit against the superior strength and power of the ghouls. Now, investigators go to the different wards and they investigate potential ghoul activity and killings, and they have to try and hunt down and eradicate the different ghouls. What I really like about Tokyo Ghoul is that the story isn't just black and white. We don't just get the monster hunters going out and killing the monsters. It's a lot more grey than that. We get to see the perspective of the ghouls, the monsters that society labels them as, and we get to see that they aren't so different. And Kaneki comes into this world right when tensions between ghouls and humans are at an absolute breaking point. The different wards of Tokyo have an increased ghoul activity and it looks like they're heading for a war. But at the heart of this story, I feel like it's Kaneki's story. For one reason or another that I'm not going to spoil, he becomes a half ghoul, and he goes from a college student, a university student with his best friend. He loves reading and he's a connoisseur of hamburger steaks. And he has his life completely flipped upside down. He can't enjoy the food that he likes anymore. He finds himself caught in between two different worlds, the ghoul world and the human world. But luckily he is taken in the 20th ward by Antegu. It's a cafe run by ghouls. As it turns out, ghouls enjoy coffee. It's probably one of the only things that humans can consume that ghouls also enjoy. Now, the manager of Antegu lives by a philosophy that anyone who doesn't want to kill other humans and eat, they should be provided for as well. So Antegu provides guilt-free human flesh for ghouls who don't want to go out and hunt themselves, but they also mediate between the different ghouls who go out hunting, and they divide up the ward into hunting grounds and different territories for the ghouls so that they can live in somewhat harmony. The 20th ward is kind of like the one ward where everything isn't completely going out of control. There are some problem children though. There are a couple of ghouls who are causing trouble and stirring up the ire of the investigators, and that's where the story kind of comes and investigates a couple of those different ghouls, and that serves as sort of the powder keg that kicks off all of the events of the later chapters in the series. Don't want to go too much into the plot, but I really enjoyed the story. Like I said, I enjoyed that it wasn't just a black and white monster hunters versus monsters. We get perspectives from both sides, and in that we get a great cast of characters on both sides. So on the ghoul side, obviously we have Kaneki. He serves as our entryway into this world. As he is experiencing things for the first time, so too are we, and we get to see everything and learn everything as he does. And because he's lived life as a human and now as a ghoul, we get those both perspectives. At Antegu, we have different cast of characters. The supporting characters in this series are absolutely brilliant. It's where the series shines, in my opinion. We have Toka, who is a high school girl. She kind of reluctantly takes Kaneki under her wing. She doesn't really understand why the manager decided to help him. She sees him as a bit of a weak half-breed. We also have the manager, Yoshimura. He is a wise old man who you definitely get the sense that his philosophies are built upon the experiences of his life. We have Yomo, who is the kind of the dog's body of Antegu. He goes out and secures the meat for the manager, but he also supports and helps the different ghouls in the ward. We also have Hinami and her mother. Having recently lost her father, Hinami is kind of brought to Antegu with her mother to live, because they can't go out and hunt for themselves. So Antegu kind of provides meat for them, guilt-free meat, because they don't want to go out. They're too weak to go out and hunt for themselves. It was the father that went out and secured their food. Those are just a few of the characters. In my opinion, Toka is probably the best character in all of Tokyo Ghoul. She starts off a little bit rough and harsh towards Kaneki, but her character development throughout is great, and that goes for all of the different characters at Antegu. They're all given time to shine and time to develop as characters. We don't just see them on the page and as throwaway characters. On the CCG side, at the earlier chapters, we have Kotaro Amon, who is an investigator, and his senior officer and partner, Mado. They are both investigators who come to the 20th ward, to, like I said, to investigate some of those strange activities and more powerful ghouls that are kind of catching their eye. And it's the conflict between those two that puts things in motion for the later chapters. Again, the development of the CCG is really good. We get to see a lot of the ins and outs of the CCG and the different ranks that the investigators can achieve, but also the hierarchy and what being an investigator entails. We get a lot of chapters just from the investigators' perspectives as flashbacks, or from investigations where they're going out and looking for ghouls. There's a great balance between the ghoul side and the CCG. But like I said, this is Kaneki's story, and it's where he comes into this world and experiences it for the first time that we really get to see the different sides of this conflict. And he is at odds with himself. Having lived as a human, he kind of sees things on both sides. But he's finding it hard to reconcile his old life as a human with his new life as a half ghoul. He remembers what it was like to eat the different foods that he liked as a human, and to hang out with his friends, and to go to university, but he's being dragged further and further into this world of eating human flesh and fighting investigators and being fearful for his life just for being alive. And Kaneki comes to the realization that there should be some kind of middle ground, and he kind of makes it his goal to bring ghouls and humans together in some way. He wants to act as the bridge. He's living proof that you can exist in the human world and the ghoul world. Now, the artwork of Tokyo Ghoul, I felt like it was a bit rough at first, but as the volumes go on, it definitely picks up and gets better. The characters in particular really look fantastic in this series and are really well drawn. You can see the expressions, and you can see the emotion and the pain and the joy on their faces. But the fight scenes as well, the action sequences are phenomenal. There's some brilliant fight scenes in this series, especially with the Kagane and the Quinkes of the CCG, when they battle head to head. When you get a really powerful ghoul going up against a formidable investigator, you get to see some great abilities and powers drawn on screen. And there's a lot of variety. Different ghouls have different Kagane and abilities, and there's a lot of different Quinke, so you don't just have, it's not just swords battling with monsters. You have different things, like one of them can armor its entire body with its Kagane, or you have ones that grow extra limbs like spiders, or you have some that look like butterflies and can shoot spikes. There's all sorts of different powers, and on the page, the artwork, it's all really well drawn. That's almost it for the video, but one thing I want to touch upon is the anime. Now, I watched the entire anime before I came to the manga. I watched the anime and then picked up the first box set of Tokyo Ghoul. There's a Tokyo Ghoul box set coming later on, which I'm going to pick up. One thing that I found when I was watching the anime, that it was very well produced. The artwork and animation is superb. It's a really well done series, but I felt like it didn't do the manga justice. Having read the manga now, there's a lot that is skipped, changed, missed out, or just completely different from the manga. There were times when I was watching the anime I felt like I'd missed an episode, or I'd totally missed a character being introduced. Some characters just turn up and are there, and the characters talk to them as if they've always known them, or the audience should know who they are. And there's a lot of events that happen that are different in the book as well. And I don't know, I don't want to rag too much on the anime because I did enjoy it. I just felt like they kind of skipped a lot of the plot and development in order to get to the next big fight scene and the next big fight scene. It throws a lot of character development and plot and story under the rug in order to just get to the big battle sequences, which is fine if that's what you want, but I did find myself confused a lot of the time, especially in Re, because they kind of tried to adapt that a bit more faithfully, not totally mind you, but they kind of reference things that happened in the manga but weren't shown in the anime, so it gets even more confusing the more faithful they try to be to the manga as the series went on. So just something to bear in mind, if you've watched the anime and you enjoyed it, I feel like you're going to get a bit more out of the manga personally. There's a lot more depth and a lot more time spent on different characters. Just one, for example, is Banjo. In the anime, he shows up at the cafe having known Rize, a character in the manga and anime, and it's just sort of, he just comes in and talks about things as if he's always been there. In the manga, there are chapters that introduce, they're like little flashbacks to Rize and Banjo, and we get a little bit of development of who he is. We get to know who he is before he turns up in the manga. It's just a throwaway side chapter, but it does all the difference of, oh, I know who that character is. He just doesn't just show up. In the anime, it was a bit kind of, oh, who's this now? And that's one of the ones where I felt like I'd missed the introduction of the character. Just something to bear in mind. So to sum things up, should you read Tokyo Ghoul? I think so, yes. It's a very unique story, and there's 14 volumes in Tokyo Ghoul, and the box set is very affordable if you can pick that up cheap. I managed to get a really good deal on it. And then Tokyo Ghoul Re, the sequel story, is 16 volumes, so it's a one and done in 30 volumes overall. I don't think that's a lot for a shonen or a seinen, where these things can go on into the 70s, the 80s, the 90s of volumes. I feel like it's a nice contained story. It's really well paced. It's full of characters that I really came to love and enjoy being with and spending time with. And it has a story, a central plot that is not just black and white, the monsters being hunted down by the monster hunters. It shows both sides of the coin, and you understand the motives between both. If I was going to say anything, I would say that the ghouls are more the heroes of the story, and not the CCG aren't villains, they're just the antagonists of the series. But you get to see both sides, and there are heroes and villains on both sides, as in any good story like this. So pick Tokyo Ghoul up if you want something a little bit different. I definitely recommend it. I think you should read it. It's a unique story, and if you like the manga as well, the anime is a superb story as well. Just bear in mind that it misses a lot out or skips it. If I was going to do any order, I would recommend going for reading the manga and then watching the anime, rather than watch the anime and read the manga like what I did. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That's the best way to get the videos as and when they come out. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Let me know on there or in the comments below what you think of Tokyo Ghoul and who your favourite character is. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Northern Soul Reaper, and until next time, goodbye.